The church bells tolled across the sleepy town of Ashbury, slow and mournful, resonating through the gray mist that clung to the hills. Each peal echoed through the fog as if calling out a name that could never again answer. Rain drizzled steadily, softening the sharp corners of buildings and casting everything in a dull sheen of sorrow. The spire of St. Augustine's pierced the sky, reaching upward through the mist like a blackened finger. Inside, the air was heavy with incense and lilies. The scent wrapped around every corner of the church, mixing with the dampness from soaked coats and umbrellas now lined up in the vestibule. Wooden pews creaked quietly as mourners shifted, dressed in somber blacks and grays, their faces subdued beneath veils and rain-dampened hats. A flag-draped casket stood at the front, flanked by 2 silent Marines in full-dress uniform, unmoving sentinels to the fallen. In the very last pew, nearly hidden in shadow, sat a young woman holding a baby. She was barely 24, with tired eyes and rain-darkened hair that clung to her cheeks. Her coat was thin, her boots were worn, her hands trembled slightly as she cradled the baby to her chest, instinctively rocking to the quiet rhythm of grief. No one sat near her. This was Elena Harper. The baby, Charlotte, nestled against her shoulder, let out a faint cry, then settled again. Elena whispered soothing words to her daughter, her lips brushing the baby's soft forehead. She had tried to remain composed throughout the service, but her jaw trembled, and her eyes were red-rimmed. Everything about her posture suggested someone trying to disappear, even as her very presence screamed to be acknowledged. She hadn't spoken to anyone since the army chaplain had delivered the news to her door. Sergeant Nathan Harper, her husband, was gone. A roadside bomb in Helmand. Nothing they could do. The words had fallen like stones, heavy and hard, smashing through her chest and sinking to the bottom of her soul. The priest at the pulpit, a thin man with spectacles and kind eyes, closed the Bible and stepped forward. "Let us commend our brother Nathan into the hands of the Lord. He served his country with courage. May he now rest in peace." The final hymn began, a solemn tune that rose up to the wooden rafters, haunting and gentle. Elena stood slowly, prepared to approach the casket, to say goodbye. Her fingers curled tighter around her baby. Her knees wobbled, but the aisle had already begun to fill. Nathan's family moved with practiced poise. His mother came first, tall and severe in a structured black coat, a thin veil over her powdered face. She walked with a silver-topped cane that clicked against the marble floor. Her mouth was tight, unsmiling. A small entourage followed, cousins in black suits, sisters-in-law with pursed lips, and neighbors who had not visited Elena once since Nathan died. No one turned to look at her. Elena stood there, waiting, hoping, for someone to gesture to her, to say her name, to offer a place beside the casket. But no hand reached out. Instead, a voice rang out across the silence, cutting through the music like a blade. "She doesn't belong here." The organ faltered for a beat. Elena froze. It was Mrs. Harper, Nathan's mother, her voice clear and sharp, her eyes locked on the young woman in the last pew. Gasps rose from the congregation. The priest blinked, stunned. "She was never really married to him," Mrs. Harper continued. "Some cheap little ceremony in Reno. No family, no church. It wasn't real. She got pregnant to trap him." "That's not true," Elena whispered, her voice shaking, but it was lost beneath the rising tide of whispers. Charlotte began to cry, sensing the tension. Elena rocked her instinctively, trying to shield her daughter with her body. "She embarrassed this family," the older woman pressed, her voice rising. "She degraded his memory. She doesn't deserve to be here." The priest stepped forward hesitantly, unsure of what to do. One of the ushers, red-faced and deeply uncomfortable, approached Elena. "Ma'am," he murmured awkwardly, "I'm so sorry, but we've been asked." Elena felt the pressure of his hand gently guiding her elbow. "Please," she said quietly. "I just want to say goodbye." But the murmurs had become a storm now. No one looked her in the eyes. No one offered her a hand. They turned away as if she were something shameful. And then the other usher joined, and together, kindly, but firmly, they escorted her down the aisle. Elena held her daughter tightly as they led her past rows of familiar strangers. The shame burned hotter than the grief. She blinked furiously, refusing to cry in front of them. Outside, the rain had grown heavier. The ushers offered her no umbrella. The door shut behind her with a solid finality, muffling the music within. She stood at the top of the stone steps, cold and soaked, her heart hammering. Her boots slipped slightly on the wet stone. She descended shakily and found a wooden bench beneath the linden tree in the churchyard. She sat down hard, clutching Charlotte to her chest, and the sobs came, deep and guttural, pulled from a place inside her that had already given too much. Her cries were carried away on the rain. Charlotte whimpered against her, confused, small, innocent. Then came the sound of tires on cobblestone, a low hum, steady and soft. A sleek, black Bentley curved around the gravel drive, elegant and quiet as it came to a stop near the church. From the driver's seat emerged a tall man in a dark uniform. He moved with confidence and purpose, stepping around to open the passenger door. Out stepped a man, broad-shouldered, silver-haired, impeccably dressed in a long charcoal coat and dark navy suit. He moved with an air of control, as though nothing surprised him, but his eyes scanned the scene with a keen awareness. He paused when he saw Elena. He approached slowly, careful not to startle her. "Mrs. Harper," he said, his voice deep but calm. Elena looked up, startled and defensive. "Who are you?" she asked, shielding Charlotte. "My name is Maxwell R. Durant." The name meant something. It fluttered in her memory like a newspaper headline. Durant Industries, global defense contractor, philanthropy, billions. She blinked. "You're that Maxwell Durant," she said faintly. "I was Nathan's commanding officer," he replied. "He saved my life during a mission in 2023. He was a good man." Elena looked away. The tears returned. "I didn't know," she whispered. "You wouldn't," he said. "He didn't talk much about it. But he was brave, and loyal, and he loved you. He spoke about you." Elena shook her head slowly, numb. "I saw what they did to you," Maxwell said softly. "That was not acceptable. That was not your husband's will." "They hate me," she said. "They don't believe we were really married." "Were you?" She nodded slowly. "In Reno. Just the two of us. He didn't want a big fuss. He said we'd do a church wedding when he came back." Maxwell crouched down in front of her, not towering over her, but at eye level. "I believe you." Her eyes met his. He extended his hand. "Please, come with me. Let me help you." Elena's first instinct was to refuse. She had never accepted help before. She had scraped and struggled and waded through deployments and loneliness. But her hands were cold, and her baby was crying, and she had just been cast out of her husband's funeral like a criminal. "What do you want from me?" she asked suspiciously. "Nothing," he said. "Only to do what your husband would have wanted. To protect you, to honor you, and to give you a place to rest." She looked at him for a long time. Then, without a word, she took his hand. The warmth of it startled her. She followed him into the car. Inside, it was quiet. Safe. Charlotte sighed in her arms and fell asleep. The Bentley drove away through the rain. Durant's estate stood on the edge of Ashbury, hidden by tall evergreens and a wrought iron gate. The mansion itself was majestic but not cold, its windows glowing warmly, the scent of wood smoke escaping the chimney. Staff met them at the door. Elena was ushered into a guest room, where dry clothes, a crib, and warm towels waited. Someone brought her soup. She stayed only one night. The next morning, she found Maxwell in the library. "I'm leaving," she told him. "I don't want charity." He looked up from the fire and said, "This isn't charity. It's gratitude." He handed her an envelope, heavy, official. "Nathan's life insurance. He named you his beneficiary." Her hands trembled. "But," his mother said. "She didn't know. And now you do. It's over $1 million. She stared at the paper, too shocked to speak. Then he handed her a smaller envelope. "He wrote you a letter. In case he didn't come home." That night, Elena sat in the guest room, Charlotte asleep in the crib nearby, and read her husband's last words. He told her to be strong. To love again. That he would always be with her. That he knew Charlotte would be brilliant, and kind, and stubborn like her mother. He told her, "I love you more than any moment can hold." Elena cried until dawn. In the days that followed, Maxwell remained present but never intrusive. He introduced her to lawyers, helped her secure her finances, protected her name. They spoke late into the night, about Nathan, about war, about grief. He told her he had lost his wife to cancer. "The silence after death is the loudest sound," he said once. Elena whispered, "Some days, it's like walking through fog." "You're walking," he said. Time passed. The baby grew. Elena left the mansion and rented a small cottage. She opened a cafe called Charlotte's Nest. It became a haven for mothers, artists, and people who had known pain. One day, Mrs. Harper came. She apologized. Elena said nothing at first, then gestured to a chair. They sat, not as enemies, not as friends, but as two women who had lost the same man. More time passed. Maxwell became part of her life, quiet, steady, kind. He held her hand in the orchard one autumn morning. "I'll never replace Nathan," he said. "But I can love you without erasing him." She looked at him with soft eyes. "I don't need a fairy tale," she said. "Just truth," he replied. They married under the linden tree. Elena wore blue. Charlotte walked beside her. And when the bells of Ashbury tolled again, they did not mourn. They rang for joy. They rang for home.